Let's get it in today. Oh. What's up, everybody? What's up? It's the Mr. Straight Facts show, and Mr. Straight Facts. So today has been a bit crazy, not just personally, but just in the news and just in general. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see Donald Trump actually give a car commercial for Elon Musk and his vehicles. Stock is crashing like crazy. People are losing their jobs, therefore not having enough money. The stock market lost over $4 trillion since he's become president. Now, I know billionaires, they losing some billions of dollars, but they're still worth a lot. But they're average everyday folks that may have just had 70 grand in there. It's almost gone. They may have had a few $100,000 in there. It's depleted a little bit. And this man is out here trying to sell vehicles. Never mind the fact that the vehicles, at least the cyber truck, is trash. It may look nice to people, but it's a trash vehicle. You're out here trying to sell it. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see it. The man had a piece of paper in his hand, and it had like the prices of each vehicle and notes he had to give during this press conference of some sort, commercial. What president does this type of shit? And why would you want this person as your president? I mean, we got him. He's bought. But it's insane to me. Hopefully we'll never have another president like this ever again. As I mentioned, the stocks were down today, 478 points, right? And Tesla has plummeted over 47%. I think it's 47.6 or something like that since Trump has gotten into office. So he's lost money. So it came out today, and I don't know how accurate all these things are, but he lost 200 billion, meaning Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, I think he lost like 4 billion, and then Bezos 20 billion. These are just numbers, it seems. I mean, these guys are never going to feel this really. I know, being greedy as they are, they're probably pissed about it, but they signed on with this man. I mean, I don't know what he's trying to do, to be honest, because it appears he's trying to tank the economy. And I would think some people would be kind of pissed and talking about it, but they're not saying anything. It appears they're trying to tank it. Now, we all know billionaires, yeah, they may lose some money, but when it's down, they buy stuff because they got a feeling it's going to go right back up. Seeing as how them having so much money, they're a part of buying stock, and people start to reinvest in that particular thing that they may have. So they're going to be all right. But it's the regular people in America that are hurting, losing their jobs. Think about this for a second. Just these people who are in the federal government, I'm sure they've gotten tax tips from, Congress people, not because they got them directly from them, but they may have heard them talking about stocks or, being close to it. You have to hear some things. And I'm pretty sure some of them have made some money off of making decisions. And here it is, Donald Trump is coming in, not only firing them, destroying their 401ks. I mean, it's just insane. Hey, what's up, SafeWit? So you took all your cash out of the market. I don't blame you. It's insane. Like I said, if you got a lot of money in there, you can ride with it. But if your whole life savings in that so that you can be able to retire and you seeing like chunks of it disappear, maybe take out some. Some people want to take out all. It's your own strategy. But the reality is the way they're doing things, it's like they're coming out. The first thing that Donald Trump said when he was running, he's telling all his people, I'm going to bring up the price. I'm going to bring down the price of eggs almost immediately. If I got in there, the egg prices wouldn't be high. He promised them the world. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen these Trumpers that come out and they're literally now saying, you guys look like fools. We never really thought he was going to lower the price of bacon, lower the price of eggs. That's what you thought. I'm like, that ain't what we thought. That's what that man spoke to you guys about 24/7. That man even said he won on a little thing called groceries. I don't understand how, well, these people are insane in a cult. How can you sit there and act like it's not your world and your foundation that's shook right now? And then you're going to try to tell us, gaslight us, that you aren't going through anything. I'm like, all right, just give it some time because he ain't letting up. You notice how they ask him, do you expect there to be a recession? And this man's like, I don't know. It could be, couldn't be. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is type of thing. With people's lives, this man's like, it is what it is. Can he care about the regular people, the average people, if he's saying it is what it is when they're losing their jobs? And think about this for a hot second. See, I don't think a lot of people really think about the grand scale of things. We're talking about government workers being fired, correct? If the stock market continues to crash, and which has been doing, for days on days since he started, really, since his inauguration day, it kind of fluctuated, but here of late, it's just been falling. What happens when people start losing money? If that doesn't kind of like correct itself really quick, they start letting people go. So outside of the sector of the government, the federal government, this man is crashing other companies, small companies that rely on it, that may be in, not talking about really small, but at least mid-size. They're not as big as Apple or something like that are in the stock market. Those ones are going to feel it, right? Those people having investments, those investments they're being used, they're going to feel it when they have day-to-day, either loans or investments. The interest rate's going to be higher. I mean, it's just insane that everybody's going to feel it. And there's people out there right now with Donald Trumpville. They're like, it's just the government workers. We need to make it thinner. I'm like, yeah, okay. Keep waiting until it reaches you. It's like, I really don't understand their mentality. Just like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's doing the same thing that Trump did with COVID, with the measles. He said, it's nothing, it's nothing. It's just like 4. We usually have 16. It's just 4. That's all, 16, that's the same thing. Then all of a sudden it started to increase. It was like double that, 32, whatever it was. No sweat, it's not really that bad. Take vitamin A, you'll be good. Take vitamin A. Now here's the thing. You can't take vitamin A if you have it and it helps you, of course, because you end up having a deficiency when you have measles or vitamin A. But that is just like, when you're sick, take vitamin C. It's not a cure from you getting a cold. You're still going to get the cold if it's in your vicinity. It's just that vitamin C is helping you with that cold, boost your immune system. Vitamin A is helping you fight it. It's not helping you from getting it. The vaccine is what does that. And so this man is so much against vaccines that he's telling people that vitamin A will work. First, it was barely anything. And now it's over 200 and something people, 232, 223, something like that have it. It's growing, people. It's growing. It's not getting less worse. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. So at this point in time, you need to figure out something with the vaccine because we already damn near cured this thing in 2020. And now we're regressing because we got people in office that don't care anything about science. I don't understand how you put somebody who is ignorant about science the head of science and health. The meritocracy thing is crazy. How can you have merit when you know nothing about it? Hey, Jennifer, how you doing? And it's just insane to me. I had a rough day every day looking at this. I don't know if how y'all remember before. I remember the end of Donald Trump's first presidency, and Biden had won. And Biden hadn't done really anything yet. I mean, he just got into office. And I realized something the first week. I told my girlfriend something the first week after he was president. And this is Biden. I said, "You hear that?" And she said, "No, what are you talking about?" "Do you hear it?" I said, "No." Exactly. We don't hear this punk ass texting every 5 seconds. We don't hear these people doing anything except for their damn job. Not causing a ruckus, not acting like a 5-year-old petulant child. None of that. Going around saying some of the dumbest things on the news. None of that. It is just calm, relaxing, and a person doing their job. That's it. And the only noise we got after Biden took office was from the nincompoops, as the Republican Party is at this point. The Marjorie Taylor Greens and all of them. That's the only noise we heard. Consistent stupidity. Being in their position, not even knowing the laws or the rules and regulations of the job in which they held. Consistently asking questions, and as they ask the question, they're giving the answer. The person in front of them doesn't have to say anything, but you just answered it in your question. Can we move on? This is their high quality people. A bunch of nincompoops. Hey, Rudy in the Planet Janet, how you doing? You're going to try to bring us to our knees. Yeah, Joe Kirby, I'm telling you, I've been trying to figure out, for the life of me, I'm like, what are these people doing? They're destroying people's lives. And I'm not talking about just the firing people. I'm talking about with the economy. I'm like, you love money. Why would you be doing this? And they keep on saying, we're going to make lots of money on tariffs. But nobody in the vicinity, no reporter or anchor, no podcast person says to them, how are you going to bring in millions and billions of dollars with tariffs? We don't have any new industries that we're starting to manufacture something new that we didn't manufacture before. And there's no industry that we're trying to take to the next level that we know of. At least you haven't talked about that. So how is a tariff going to make us richer, this country? And then this man keeps putting the tariff on and taking it off. Put it on and take it off. I'm like, well, what are you trying to prove? I mean, that you got Alzheimer's? I mean, what is he trying to prove? I'm like, could you get the job done and quit playing with it? He's playing with our government. And I mean, he ain't playing chess. I mean, he playing like Connect 4 or some shit. It makes no sense. And these politicians who used to be constitutional lawyers, who used to be all kinds of, different areas in law, right? And I'm talking about just on the Republican side. Mike Johnson, sitting here like, he's just doing his thing. He knows business. You know the law. You know he's breaking it. Why would people want this man running anything? It makes no sense. Sorry for your rough day. Yeah, it's always a rough day when you pay attention to this nonsense. But you have to go through it so that you can kind of break through it. You know what I mean? So as I see it, I started to realize, we got to create, some kind of solution to talk to people. I don't know if you guys saw, what's his name? Bernie Sanders has like a 8-minute video. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I know it's on TikTok. And he's going through things we need to do. Now that I can get with. I was like, all right, cool. He said some of the things that I even said. And I even put in the comment section, I would love to interview him to talk to him about, the things that are going on in this country and why people are, it seems like the Democrats aren't doing anything. But he is. But here's the thing. Who's supporting Bernie Sanders with his ideologies? He's talking about we need to group together. The people need to get together. We need to have, a conversation. We need to get behind a movement so that we can get some kind of power going within the government. I'm like, I'm all for that. I've been saying all that. Then I guess you can go to berniesanders.com and start signing up or something, I guess. But he's the only one. I mean, other people are talking about having, like AOC, Jasmine Crockett. They're talking about having, and Elizabeth Warren, town hall meetings. I'm cool with that. But that's only like 5 of them. What about the rest of them? They're listening to James Carville. Now, I heard James Carville just the other day, if it wasn't yesterday, and his clarification on don't do nothing. He wants us to sit back, do nothing, and let them basically eat themselves. Because a lot of what they say they're going to do or what they're doing is destroying the country, and their people are going to wake up. Here's the thing I want to tell James Carville. That strategy you're trying to play with, do you understand Republicans, Democrats, you guys have been saying forever that this dipshit fever was going to be over. Oh, this is going to be the end of it. Oh, no, they can't handle that. Oh, 34 felonies? There's no way he's going to make it that way. Every time you guys say your strategy, this got to be the fever. This got to be when the fever breaks. And I'm like, dude, you're the guy who keeps crying wolf. You know what I'm saying? You keep on saying shit's going to happen, but it doesn't happen. So you need to have a actual strategy, James Carville. The strategy is to hold off and let them self-implode. I don't care if they having fights left and right and can't govern. That's fine. Leave them alone and let them blow up whatever they're going to blow up. But what are you doing to actually fulfill that or fill that in when they blow it up? We're going to wait 2 years? No, we need to be organizing these entire 2 years. Like Bernie's saying. You're saying sitting back. But again, you got to know where these people are coming from. They are a part of the Democrat Party leadership that is owned by the millionaires and billionaires. So the millionaires and billionaires are sitting here chilling, you know what I mean? Having a great time sitting by the pool, getting on yachts and flying all over the world, watching this shit tumble. And then they're going to come in and swoop everything up and start buying everything because everything's going to go down. They're just chilling. But trust and believe. If this thing got to the point where they could possibly go broke, shit's going to start tumbling. They're going to start moving and doing shit. Furniture's going to move, as if my parents used to say as I was a kid, you're going to see some furniture moving. And when their bottom line starts to hurt. But right now, they're on chill mode. You can afford that chill mode, James Carville. But can the teacher who's barely making anything? Can the student whose school is going to lose its funding so they're not going to have food to eat? Can they sit around and wait 2 years for this man to destroy the country so that we can hopefully have this, Democrat saviors come in and save the country from turmoil, and so you can be the superhero with the cape? All the while you just sat there and watched it happen when you could have done something? No. So we just sit here and wait for you. At the same time, the average American citizen, the eggs are going to shoot up to, by the time they finish with it, 2 years. At the time this man has been president, I've seen eggs go from six. It ain't nothing. What 2 months? Whatever the hell it's been. I see this eggs go from $6.99 to $9.99 to $10.99 to $14.99. 2 years from now, eggs gonna be $79.99. How the fuck we gonna wait it in? That's stupid. We don't know when this fever is gonna break, but we can't sit around and just sit there and wait for you guys to do it. What are we supposed to do in the meantime? Just get another job? Americans got at least 2 jobs as it is. Not to mention parenting. Almost everybody I know has multiple jobs. Even if they're making really nice money at their first job, making $107,000 a year at their first job, that still ain't enough to have a nice house, kids go to college, all these different things, still not enough. They pull a side gig of some sort that shouldn't be. But that's this country. And them losing a big portion of their 401k, waking up and their 401k is taking a dive, of course they're going to ride it out, most of them. But they don't know. In a traditional economy, when you don't have a dipshit president that's doing shit on purpose, there are many factors that cause the stock market to just kind of take a dive. Uncertainty in any kind of particular sector, tech, farming, whatever. Uncertainty causes it. But here's the thing. This uncertainty that's forced upon the world on top of uncertainties that's going to automatically happen in the world. There's going to be some tech things that go wrong. There's going to be some like orange crops or whatever is going to go wrong. That's just every year. And even just in those natural things, people lose their shirts on. And we got a president that's on purpose trying to destroy the country, talking about he's trying to build it. How? How are you trying to build that? We have no game plan. And I understand if you really had a strategy, you don't want to tell everybody because other countries would know. I get it. But the strategy is causing them to throw tariffs on us that's just insane. His strategies have Canada talking about turning off 1.5 million American citizens' electricity, and just went into place. And the thing that's killing me is that Canada is throwing these tariffs on. Donald Trump is throwing on tariffs and then taking them back. How is this working? Everybody's talking about just wait it out. Not us people, the people in the news. There are certain people that are saying that, more conservatives who are saying that. I'm like, you can wait it out all you want. But American citizens, they got too much on the line. And if it is, like the person who said earlier they took his money out, it might be smart because I believe it's going to go down lower and lower and lower. You can buy back low and then it'll go back up eventually. That's how the rich do it anyway. But, you got to just keep watching the stock to see if you think it's how low it's going to get and then buy it back. But if you like doing that type of thing. But it's just insane what these people are doing. And I understand why with Canada. I mean, Canada is like our biggest ally. Most Canadians I know are just really nice people. So I'm like, I don't get what this man's all about. He's saying we're losing money. I'm like, dude, you made the deal. The worst deal. You said it was the best deal, and you made it. How do you have? I mean, you got to think about it. If Biden had said, boy, this deal is bad, and he had actually done it, they would be saying this man's feeble-minded. He's got Alzheimer's. You need, to put in the 25th Amendment and get him out there because he's not making any sense. He can't be running the country when he can't even understand, that he created it. And then he's saying it's the worst thing. He created it. He said it was the best thing. There's nothing good about that. And there's something wrong about that. And then it's confusing the hell out of people who have our backs. You see how every time a Canadian leader has to come out and throw tariffs on us and then tell us, hey, this is going to cost you $100 more in either fuel or heat or electricity. But that's Donald Trump. He's the one who's doing it. But they're like literally throwing it on Donald Trump's shoulders. It's like, look, we don't want to do this to you, but we know it's not the American people. It's just your dipshit president. It's not. We got to do it because he's messed with us. We're going to mess with him back. It ain't like we're going to get bullied by a senior citizen that wears diapers. It ain't going to happen. And so they're going back at him. Kudos to them. But it's going to mess with American citizens. And I don't understand why. I'm waiting for, I know it ain't going to go nowhere. I know it. But I'm waiting for Representative Al Green to file those papers. He said he's going to file them so that they can, either impeach him or kick him out. Like I said, I don't think it's going to work. I know it's not going to work just because they're empowered. But I want to see it because it at least tells me doing something. Even if it's going to be a dead end, I'd rather them see them do something, motivate some people, show us that you actually are trying to give a damn about the American people. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the young man, what's his name? Mahmoud. Try to look it up here. Mahmoud Khalil, 29 years old, Palestinian, but he's a permanent resident, lawful permanent resident of the United States. Green card and everything. They just snatched this dude up in the middle of just him, his girlfriend or wife, whomever, I think his girlfriend. He's there. They snatch him up and don't even tell him what he's charged with. Freedom of speech. I mean, we allow the KKK running around talking about, we don't like these people or white supremacy all over the place. And then this guy literally says, you're killing Palestinian men, women, and children and babies. And I'm against that. And the people who are doing it to us are Jewish people. And then Jewish people come at them. They go back at the Jewish people. That's how it goes down when you fighting over what's right for both sides. If you're going to talk about the Israelis or the Jewish people who are saying, we get a right to defend ourselves. Well, you do. But then there's a point at which you need to back the hell up because it's not that big of a deal as far as after it's done. You killed 1,500 of them. They killed 1,200 of yours. You killed 3,000 of theirs. Back up. This overkill is not necessary. But you're doing this overkill and saying like, oh, this 1,200, we can keep killing. I'm like, that's wrong. And that's all they were saying. And then there probably was some outlandish, outrageous people that was in the group that said some crazy things. I saw when I was watching different clips, I saw some Jewish people being outrageous and fighting and spitting on people. And I saw some Palestinians say some things that was untoward and crazy toward Israelis. I've seen it on both sides. But here's the thing. I didn't see the news covering the Jewish people doing the bad things that I saw. The only one I did see, I think it was on one of the, I don't know if it was MSNBC, or one kind of stocky Jewish guy that spat on one of the Palestinians. But that was the only one. But I saw a bunch of them, like with, the internet, like media, social media, people going out. I saw them at these protests. Didn't make mainstream media, right? But these on the internet did. And you saw it a lot on both sides of this. But through the mainstream media, they only covered the part in which Jewish people were threatened, not the opposite way around. So this young man is protesting. Now, it doesn't say that this man set nobody on fire, unalive somebody, beat anybody. He didn't break any laws. That's why they didn't have anything to charge him with. They're just snatching people up that just get to say. It's his wife and she's pregnant. Thank you, Pedro. Yeah, his wife then, and then she's pregnant. Thank you for clearing that up. Because I didn't get all the details as far as like, I know he was with some woman, and they didn't tell me in this particular article. I thought they said it was his girlfriend, but his wife and child. And so you're going to snatch somebody up and not tell them what? Since when does America start doing this shit? I can understand that this person was a terrorist, right? He set a bomb off somewhere. He was stalking somebody, doing something illegal. Of course you can do this stuff to people breaking the law, but he did not break any laws. And he has the Second Amendment right, the First Amendment right like everybody else. And he has his Fifth Amendment right, for due process. You got to tell a man or woman or anybody what you're being charged with before you snatch them up and throw them somewhere. Not unless they're, again, terrorists. And even then, you still have due process. But they had no reason to arrest this man and take him to whatever they took him to. This is under a dictatorship, authoritarianism, when you can just snatch people up. And here's the thing. You guys, I don't know if you remember, back during when George Floyd was unalived by the police officer, was murdered. And there was protests all over the place, right? In different areas, mostly peaceful. There were some that weren't, but those were mixed up between a bunch of things. And most people who got arrested for those crimes, if you go back and look at it, were members of Black Lives Matter. And most of them were either, white people, a mixture between a white and a black dude together, those two together who came and did it, a white girl that did it. I mean, it's insane at how many people actually arrested for those crimes, but yet they put like majority black people. They just put it on black people. Black Lives Matter, the fires and all stuff like that. But go see who got arrested for it. The majority of them were white. But you don't hear that. You just blame Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, they weren't even a part of Black Lives Matter. They were agitators who came in who actually didn't like Black Lives Matter. But that's another story. But it's reality. Go look it up. But when you look at this, they took this man's rights. And what are the Democrats doing about that? I mean, this dude has to have his own lawyer. I don't know what at least come out and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they got to be his lawyer. I'm not saying they got to be, at his trial or anything like that. I'm saying is get in front of the cameras and say, this is an authoritative type of mentality. This is wrong. It's not acceptable. That this is something that should be impeachable for a president in this country to be treating himself like he's a king and that he has the authority to overstep anybody's rights, their First, Second Amendment, Fifth Amendment right, rather. You do not have a right as a president to take those rights away from people. That's the Constitution in which he's supposed to be beholden to, as well as everybody else who are in these particular positions of authority. It's just insane. And I just don't understand it. I really don't. I understand like why the Democrats are sitting back. And as I listen to myself even talk about it, it starts to make me feel like, again, if they're not for the people, then who are you for? That's another question that I would, leave it open so that you wouldn't be judgmental in a sense. I would just ask the question of one of these Democrats and say, if in this situation, if you're not for the people because you guys aren't standing up for the people, then who are you for? And let them, paint themselves into a corner, because it doesn't make any sense. You can't be for the people and then allow the people to go through things without saying a word. That is in the media, like really strong. It's not like it's some obscure thing that happened, in some small town that never made national news. This thing, or never even made, anybody even covered it hardly. But this thing is all over the place and Dems are silent. Now, if you've seen one talk, let me know. I haven't seen one yet. I'll keep looking. But as of right now, I haven't seen not one Democrat literally talk about that. What else are you guys doing? I ain't saying you're not doing anything. You're just not letting us know what you're doing. So it appears that you're doing nothing. I don't see how they're so disconnected from the people like that. I just don't get it. I would have to say something on a day-to-day basis. You know, it ain't got to be something that the entire party believes in. What do you believe in? They elected you. Tell your constituents what you believe in. You guys don't have to be lockstep on everything. You should have people who really are saying, hey, this is wrong. You should not be shutting them up from talking to their constituents about what their constituents like or don't like, and then coming to you and saying, hey, this is what my people think. And doing a press conference, I understand that my constituents, just like Al Green said, Representative Al Green, my constituents, like a high percentage, like 90% or something like his people, or somewhere around that range, you know, need Medicare. They need Medicaid. And he stood up for them. Your people need their jobs. Your people need groceries to go down. Your people need gas to go down. And you know that Donald Trump is not delivering that. So you need to be out there telling them, this is Donald Trump's fault. We haven't voted, but we lost the vote. But we're going to do the best we can. Something. Just don't sit there and just be like James Carville. Just sit there and just have some brandy or whatever it is. Chill out. Go home, collect the check. Don't say nothing. Keep it quiet as a church mouse. Let them destroy the country, and then we'll just come in. And if that doesn't work, you just sold us down the river. If you're going to do something like that, at least in my mind, make it like double tiered. You feel me? In other words, 50 of you guys go that route, 50 go the other route. Or in the House, more than that, of course, down the line, the split. You go this way, you go this way. Boom. Now you're covering both bases. Y'all go out and talk about that. We're going to go and do this. That's what it seems like. But you guys all going down the same road, and it doesn't seem like you're going down the citizens' way of doing things. Like I know we're not, lawmakers, but answering these questions and even putting us in our place, the things that you can and cannot do, that's even better than doing nothing. I mean, I don't even usually go to town hall meetings, but I would go if there was one here where I'm at, because I need to know what they're talking about, what they're strategizing. We can't work together if we have no idea. And this is what Bernie Sanders was saying. We need to get to the people, because at this point, we don't have the power in the House or the Senate. So we need to use the people's power. They're going to be the ones that make decisions. He's like, you can call the representatives and your senators and all that. He said they listen because these people want to be back in power again. They're power hungry more so than they are people hungry. They don't care about the people as much. They care about the power. He was just frank with it. And I love that. And he's like, so for them to be in power, they're going to need your vote. So that's the leverage you got. Start organizing. I'm like, all right, cool. Why not where the rest of the people in the Democrat Party, Bernie? It's like you're on this island by yourself. It's insane. I saw, you know what? I'm going to answer some of these statements you guys got here. Often I get into it and I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen what you guys are saying. Let me go back. If you want to donate to the show, please do. You can subscribe. You can become a member. That's how I support everything. Say he took his money out. Let's see. Jedi James said, my man, I took a time out, man, for my own well-being. I'm glad you're still at it, broski. Keep at it. Thank you, Jedi. I appreciate it. Yeah, I even took a time out, to be quite honest. I really did. Right after the election, I took some time out. I didn't produce as much content because it was just, how I did. I was doing, Trump Whisperer translating stupid and having fun, making fun of him, which I may do later, but it's just that I didn't find anything funny. Because here's the weird thing, not weird. We all went through, I'm sure, the people who knew what was going on and voted for this not to happen. and educated yourself, knowing that the things he was saying and looking in history and realizing that he was doing the same things as Hitler was doing, you had to sit there and look at, wait a minute, this is not good. And so those of us who were aware that these things were happening or were gonna happen because he had already started doing them and voted the right way, we were just like, I don't know about you, but many of my mutuals and people I spoke to, we were just shell shocked. Because it's crazy how you think you know a country that you lived in your entire life, and you realize that, wait a minute, these people voted against their own interests. I didn't know that was this type of country. I can expect that in a country that's not developed, maybe, but a country that's developed, and when you got full access to knowledge, I mean, damn, how can you make that bad of a decision if you have the parameters to know that A, B, and C are there, and that C is about your destruction and demise, B is about, they're not really a part of the A, like the landscape of politics, meaning like the independence and things of that nature. And then you got the Democrats who have a woman who literally is speaking like common sense. Her sentences are complete. You know what I'm saying? She has an actual plan. This man's got concepts. And she beat his ass during the debate. I'm like, there's no way you can look at that weak man that got beat down by her and want that. And it just shell shock. He was like right afterwards, I didn't have nothing to say. I was sitting there like, I ain't got nothing to say. I'm living amongst idiots. I just, and you know what's so trip is that after that election, I'll tell you what I went through. After that election, I couldn't pass people without thinking like, that might be one of the dumb ones. Yeah, that was one of the dumb ones. I don't know what they were thinking. I'm like, their lives are about to change, and they just walking around happy and lucky. Oh wow, Donald Trump won. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't read Project 2025. Oh, it's not a real thing. Oh, okay, all right. And now what's so crazy? They know if they had any kind of brain in their head that Project 2025 was a real thing, and that we who voted for Kamala Harris because we didn't want to see this thing come to life, because we knew what was going to happen to them and we prepared them for that. Looking at them and they're like, not even caring that Project 2025 is in effect. It wasn't Project 2025, it was something 47 on his webpage. I'm like, what you're witnessing is Project 2025. And you were warned about this. And you're still acting like it's not that. They're beyond help. They are. You can see them being frustrated that they're losing their farms and losing their homes and losing their jobs. But when it gets down to it, would you vote for him again? Many of them would say yes. Lost causes. Lost. At this point, I'm like, how can we make it by ourselves? Because they're lost completely. There's no need to try and tap into them. Even when they are losing things, they're still confused as to like, I might vote for him again. And I guarantee, like I said yesterday, I guarantee you the reason why they're saying that is because they want to take that risk. It's like, they ain't gonna fire me again. They can't fuck me this time. I already got hit this time. So if I vote for him or somebody like him again, they ain't gonna touch me. I'm like, whew. We know you were amongst the Elmer's glue and booger eaters in kindergarten. We know for a fact that's what you guys were. 100%. Here's your left foot out game. Exactly, Margaret. Hey, Kenneth, dementia done. Yeah, most definitely. Let's see what else. Patricia A says Trump has no idea what he wants to be or do today. Car salesman, tomorrow fireman. Oh wait, that's helping people. Remember he got into that fire truck and acted like a overgrown kid, and still look. It couldn't even get in it hardly. It's like, okay. This is your strong guy that can barely climb into uh, the fire truck. All right, you say so. Jennifer Redgate, we say, yes, I agree. I pick and choose what I watch because I lose my mind. I love Bernie Sanders. He's wonderful. He's for the people. I agree with Bernie. Bernie has always been for the people that I've known. And I did not vote for him. I voted for Hillary because I didn't know a lot about Bernie at the time. I admit that. I wish I had voted for Bernie because I learned a lot about him after the election and Trump had won. And I was like, oh, I should have voted for Bernie. But I did research on him and, the marches of Martin Luther King and, a lot of the things that he did and continues to do. And I started listening to his philosophies, and it really is all about just caring about people. And that's what I'm all about. You know what I mean? Caring about people and saying that, hey, we need to take care of our people. We need to make sure that our poor is taken care of. Because again, doing that helps us. I remember when I was in college, this is in like 91, 92 or somewhere around there. And I was in college and I was like on my mother's insurance, but I had a friend who I met out there who was a grown person. I met him at the Y or whatever. I worked there. A really nice guy. And we went and he had like some kind of medical issue. I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly what it was. I remember one time he got hit in the nose. I don't know if it was that time or another. But anyway, we went to the hospital, and he was poor. He lived in a poor area of Muncie, Indiana, right behind the YMCA. And I took him to the hospital. He didn't have a car, so I took him to the hospital, and he schooled me on. He said, "Take me to emergency." This, that, and the other. And the lady was like, "You got insurance?" He's like, "No, don't have it." Even though we sat there and waited forever, they had to, at least in Indiana. I don't know what the rights are now. I have no clue. But at that time in the 90s, the emergency room had to take care of you. It had to, and no matter what. And no matter what it cost, they knew this person doesn't have the money, that they were, in poverty. And you had to eat it. People like, my mom, because I was in college and I really didn't have work. I was making little money. I was working, on the campus. But all of the other people who were paying taxes, you had to pay for that. It costs more because, again, they can't pay. They don't have insurance. So that money is something that they take out of everybody else. Everything starts to rise up when you have people without insurance that has to be taken care of because of the fact that that's the law, or at least it was, I think it still is, for this country. So it's best for everybody to have health care so everything's taken care of and it doesn't cost us extra every time you take care of the poor or people who may not have health care. It makes sense. But it doesn't make sense to them. They have no idea. Greed is everything in this country, and that's the sad part. But Bernie has always been for the people. For the people. Hey, as a esoteric? Hunger Games for the rest of us. Yeah, that's true. The socialism is for the rich. Think about it. It said Teslas again. That's I always use as an example. But they wanted to make Teslas, and they wanted to make them with, not bulletproof, but pretty much that. And $400 million, which they turned to EV. And I'm saying that, okay, if it's not him, but still, some EV company, if not Tesla, is going to get $400 million that they don't have to pay back. And you want to see, a small business like you want to start a small business tomorrow. Let's say you like baking, cakes, and you're really good at it. And everybody's like, man, I love, whatever's cakes. Just love it. And then you decide to go, okay, I'm gonna go to SBA, Small Business Association, go through their little program, through classes and things. It used to be free. They may charge you a nominal fee now, whatever, for different classes. Get those classes, fill out the application, get a loan for $50,000. Loan. Start your business, and let's say it takes off for a bit, and it kind of falters a little bit. You need to come back and get some money. Again, another loan. After you've proven this stuff is actually selling, you're just losing out on certain aspects of it. You need the marketing or whatever. They give you these loans, and you got to pay them back. And if you don't pay that loan back, they take everything. They take your stove away, they take everything away until they can get the amount of money that they owe you. And if they can't, they'll take it out of your paycheck. And it'll sit on your paycheck for that particular business. You can close the business sometimes and make the business bankrupt as long as it wasn't under your name. If it's a C Corp, you can get away with it like Donald Trump. But if it's yours and it's through you, like a LLC, and it goes straight through you, it can still give you some protections. But depends on how you set it up. It can still go through to you. Same in the situation of an S Corp. There's so many different ways that you can try to protect yourself. But there's so many loopholes that you get caught back up in those things, that'll take your home away. And you sit here and think, okay, but if Elon Musk has a vehicle that is not armored, that's what it said, armored instead of bulletproof, but still armored, and Tesla's not armored, that means he's got to rebuild that vehicle so that it's something that can be probably off terrain and armored. That's a whole development of another vehicle, $400 million worth. And he doesn't owe it back. It's not a loan. It's a subsidy. It's given to him to do this. Yet you can't give that person $100,000 to get their business up and running. And if they lose, so do you. You can't do that, but you can give hundreds of millions away for somebody else to do it. It makes no sense, y'all. It makes zero sense. What's up, woke Mike? Rude Interplanet Janet says it's cute how they think we still have free and fair voting in 2026. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Let's see if I have any more comments. It was a dump truck, right? Are you talking about Leon Rivers? Are you talking to me? Are you talking about you're talking to somebody else. You're talking to somebody else probably, but yeah. If you're talking about the Tesla, is on YouTube. There's a guy who did a like a crash test dummy thing, but it really wasn't. It was like showing you what the Tesla Cybertruck can do opposed to what it promises it can do. And, there's all kinds of stories of people hitting potholes and the whole bottom undercarriage just broken, snapped in half. And this young man, he drove it like an off-terrain thing on a bunch of pylons type of thing. And when it went down, it just tore off the hitch off the back of it. And then it has, I guess you can upgrade it. It's supposed to be able to pull up to 11,000 pounds or something like that. And he tied a truck that was under 11,000 pounds to it, just snapped off. I mean, looked on the bottom of it. The whole part that's connected to it is plastic. It's like it's strong plastic, but still plastic. It's like you got a frame underneath this thing that has plastic attached and not metal on metal. I'm like, man. And you want to give him $400 million for that trash? Give me a break. I understand people like new and improved, new things they've never seen before. And he's got the technology, inside of it and all that. That's nice. Bells and whistles, great. But it's still a trash vehicle, no matter how you slice it. It may look nice to you, but it's still a trash vehicle. And I ain't got nothing against him and his vehicles. I just call it like I see it. If a car, if a Ford did that, I would say it's a trash vehicle, right? If Chevy did that, I would say it's a trash vehicle. They don't do that. His does. So if anybody's going to get an armored vehicle contract for $400 million, it should be someone like a Ford or Chevy, or maybe even a new person that has built a vehicle, at some company or another like that. But not Elon. He's had enough money. He's had billions of our dollars, and he hasn't perfected this stuff yet. Should not have it. Should not have it. Mr. Straight Fact. What's up, old school? Kicking back with a cigar and some Knob Creek, listening to some knowledge. Nice, man. Get some relax on. I need to get myself something to sit back and sip on a little bit later, just to relax, because you get to reading all this stuff. It's just, man, it's crazy. Did you guys see Mel Gibson? And I understand it, and I don't care to talk about it much myself. I get it. But he wanted his gun rights back because, again, I had forgotten how he lost his gun rights. I knew he did that racist stuff back in the day before he did Passion of the Christ or whatever. And I knew he had gotten in some kind of trouble with the law, but I forgot what it was. I put him into the recesses of my mind, but it popped up today because he's a Trump supporter. And a woman that works for the federal government got fired because of him. And I was like, what he do this time? And then I had to go back, and he beat up his girlfriend. I mean, like, wailed on her. She had a baby in her hand, or at least somebody had a baby in their hand. I think it was her when he was beating her. So he got a charge in which, because he had that charge and lost, his gun rights were taken away. And rightfully so, because if you're going to beat somebody like that, who's to say you aren't going to pull out some other type of weapon other than your fist and harm them? So that's just what happens. But with Donald Trump in office, the head criminal in chief, this person is trying to give this man his gun rights back. This man don't let go of people who kill police officers. Was in effect because of what they did. These police officers either committed suicide or died from heart attacks and things of that nature, who got beat up by people, squished between doors, spears thrown at them, all kinds of things, hit with bats and batons, and tried to steal what's his name, Phenom, police officer, tried to steal his gun. The only reason they didn't shoot him is because he said, I got a family. These are the people he let go. These are the people he let go. And yet, a guy who's protesting his rights, never harmed a soul, never attacked anyone, just literally just had a protest. And he wasn't even at all of them. He organized a couple of them or something like that, but he wasn't at all of them, but he was at least the ones that I guess they saw. And Mike Johnson's like, oh, it was just horrible. It's so horrible. I got a question for you guys, and maybe you know, maybe you don't. But what is the fascination with Mike Johnson and Trump and these MAGA people with this protecting Jewish people for just one reason? Because think about it for a second. These are the same people, Donald Trump and others in the MAGA movement, that in North Carolina, when they were out marching, the skinheads, the white nationalists were marching, they said, Jews will not replace us. They were hating on Jews or Jewish people, whichever way. I don't want to disrespect anybody. They was hating on Jewish people. And Donald Trump said there was good people on both sides. One's talking about getting rid of Jewish people. You'll never replace us. Marching, hate messaging and stuff like that. They have a right to be able to say that speech. Fine. But one of them even unalived, during that time, a white girl, rest her soul. And this man, nobody from, that was in that area that wasn't a white nationalist harmed a soul. And this man said there was good on both sides. Them saying basically they hate Jewish people, he was like, they were good people. So how can you hold in your head that a man who sat there and allowed, and you can't tell them to stop, but validated what they did and said they were good people with all that hate in their heart toward Jewish people, then turn around like they give a damn about Jewish people when it comes to them, being a march for Palestinians against them. It makes no sense. But then you start to look at it and say, you know what? They hate brown people more than they hate Jewish people. And Palestinians, to them, are brown people. They're like the other. But had it been that, they were saying something about Jewish people were having a fight with a white nation, trust and believe. Jewish people would end up like, wait a minute, what? All they did said, that you should go back home or whatever. No big deal. You have to understand the dynamics. They're going against Muslims, Palestinians, brown people. Therefore, they're standing up for Jewish people who look white. But let it be that they were fighting against, a white nation. This being the Jewish people, they would not be protected by Americans like we thought they did to the Jewish people. So that's what gave me the understanding, like, I get it now, because they're brown people. That's the reason why you're changing your narrative, because you had no problem with these white guys talking shit about Jewish people. But when it's these brown people talking about Jewish people, it's just horrible. I mean, I don't know how many people recognize that, but I recognize it. It was crazy. Who we are. Please, everyone, remember who we are. A. Earl Ingram. Who are we? Who we talking about who we are? Did I miss something? Scott, Charlottesville, Virginia. It was Charlottesville. Thank you, Scott. Charlottesville. Did I say North Carolina? I was thinking North Carolina. Thank you. Charlottesville was in Charlottesville. They love predators. What about the Tate brothers? Don't even get me started with the Tate brothers. That to me was just insane. I mean, I don't even know all the details of it, because once I saw that, I was like, yo, these people, I always knew they were unredeemable, but I mean, what value did you find in these dudes? I mean, the sex trafficking, I mean, that automatically. But see, here's the thing. Remember, Epstein, Donald Trump was his best friend. I mean, I'm putting it out there. I don't know. Maybe these dudes have birds of a feather flock together. Maybe these dudes and Epstein had some connection. I don't know. Or Trump has a sore spot in his heart, or a soft spot in his heart for those types of predators. It just doesn't look good. And I don't know, do they have to go back for the trial or something like that? I'm trying to figure out like why they're here completely. I haven't figured all that out yet. I haven't delved into them because I just can't stand that fact, but it's a reality. Boycotting works, yes, sir. Remember who we are, please. Okay. Hey, what's going on, Planet Waterbug? Welcome. You guys, let me see. Take this down. You can support the show, become a member, or just subscribe to the channel, MrStraightFacts. I appreciate it. Hit the like button. Thank you very much, Johnny. So, the lady got fired. We go back to Mel Gibson. She got fired because she wouldn't give the weapon or give him access to a weapon again. Now, when you guys see the things that Donald Trump's been doing, how many days has it been? 40, 50 days, something like that? A little bit under 50 days. Did we get it right? Didn't we get it right? This man is a wannabe dictator. There's nothing about him that's a president of the United States. He is literally trying to be a dictator of these United States. I mean, he's not waiting for the Congress to do anything. He's just writing some kind of, clause, and then boom, it's there. Executive order. It's done. Executive orders go to court all the time. Remember, even Biden, put in executive orders for people to get their loans paid off, school loans paid off, and they took it to court and they canceled it. So those things are not laws; they're like decrees for a while, and then the law gets in and say, "Hey, this is unconstitutional." So this man is doing so many unconstitutional things, but he has the House, he has the Senate. It's up to them to challenge this man. It's up to them to challenge him. Because the things that he's asking to do, even cutting stuff, the purse is held by the House. And because they have control of the House, Mike Johnson, all of them, they're not saying anything. They're quiet. Quiet. Church mice. Not doing a thing. It's them that's supposed to be fighting and saying, hey, that's under our purview. We decide where the money goes or who gets money and who doesn't get money. But they've capitulated to this dude. And I've always said to myself, I don't know what gets a person to step out of themselves, because I've never been, bribed or in a cult before in my life. So I can't say that I can't be, because I've never had it. But to be brainwashed like that, I don't see what turns a person into that. I mean, what kind of weakness has got to be in your system that you're willing to forego all what you said was holy, all you said that you considered to have morality? How did you do that? It makes no sense to me. I know I'm mad about them moving. Oh, Planet Waterbug, yeah, they moved the BLM. They removed it. Yeah, I know you mad. I think a lot of us are. Uh, it's insane that it was even allowed to happen. But and it was the mayor of Washington D.C. that put it up to begin with. I didn't get to see who took it down. Was it Trump or was it a new mayor? Who made that decision? All I did was I just saw a little clip of it and I was done. I'm like, I don't know. There's other stuff to care about right at this point. You want to support the show? These are the ways to support the show. Just let you know. He's like the child who keeps redrawing the line until you finally have really stopped them, right, Luigi? It's like, to me, he's like when you were a kid. If you were a good kid, you would see that bad kid and you just sit there and be like, not until I went to Catholic school when I was like almost preschool age. And I remember Catholic school because it had traumas in it. It had some serious traumas in it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, where's it at? Not like this, but wooden rulers. Oh, man, wooden ruler used to give me the chills. And I didn't even get hit with it often. You know what I'm saying? I just see the nuns like just laying into people with rulers. I'd be like, dang, all he did was just pick this stuff up late. You know what I'm saying? It was insane. But they smack your hand and rule. They smack you in a ruler in your hand in a heartbeat. But that's reminds you of that kid that was always messing up, and that nun be coming over and whop. Ah! That's Donald Trump. Won't stop doing stupid shit until somebody checks him, and that's what I'm saying. Somebody needs to check him, and I don't know who, but somebody. I'm waiting. Somebody's got to check him. And I mean, the way, like for instance, I was hoping during that, Congress thing, whether it was State of the Union, whatever they was calling it, I thought the Dems were going to stand up and do something, say something, walk out, whatever, make a statement. No statement to be made other than we're just going to capitulate. We're going to sit here and chill. But I was hoping to see that. But they continue to do nothing, absolutely nothing. Like the Blues Brothers. And I know others, no damn my soul will rest. It's just that we are all human, and I know others don't damn my soul will rest. Better love you, my brother and friend. I feel you. Same here, man. Much love. It's a mental defect, Mr. Straight Facts, a terrible sign of weakness. Yeah, it is. It is. It is a big sign of weakness. They do say, rooted in the planet agenda, that everybody can be brainwashed. And, I don't know. I mean, you probably can, but it's like, I don't know. I always have my guard up. I always want to know facts. I don't want to ever be like, on some, just believe in a person just because they're trustworthy. That's why I tell everybody, even when I speak, to check the facts, because I mean, I can misspeak. Like I said earlier, got it wrong, and my man corrected me and said Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm like, you're right. And I said, Charlotte, North Carolina, something like that. I like to be factual, and I don't mind saying, hey, oops, I messed up. But what you'll find, a lot of people, especially people like, Trump and their minions, they don't want to admit they're wrong for shit. They keep it moving. They're like, I ain't wrong. I'm like, you really are. And you should say that so we can just keep it moving. But you'll notice that. I don't know how many of you guys noticed if you have friends who are Republicans. I have friends from all different types of stripes. I pretty much get along with everybody before Trump came along. And after Trump came along, people who I talked to, that I had dated or whatever, that turned out to be like Republican, it just brought out the evil in them, man. They just started the things they would say. I'll give you an example. This girl that I was talking to, we were really cool. I knew her mom. I knew her dad. Well, dad just a little bit. I didn't know him personally. They always kind of kept him away from me in a sense, but I didn't see him. I met them online, at least saw her, and we all hung out, had fun. Got to know her mom. I met her out there. Got to know her ex-husband. He's cool, very, very nice dude. And we were all, just hanging out and all this stuff like that. And, I didn't know their politics. And but once, this is 2015, around that time, when we were all cool. And then it got to the point where it was 2000 when Donald Trump started running for president. And it's like Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, they were just so nice and wonderful people. And I knew her cousins and stuff like that. They would talk on Facebook, hit me up all the time. And out of nowhere, they would just, I post online like I normally did. Back then, it was mostly Facebook. So I'm posting, and I get all this like hateful shit in my comments about me just telling facts. I was like, the fuck is this? And I'm looking at them like, oh, that's old girl's, like cousin. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's going on with you? We need to connect. What's going on? Talk to them, and they're just, and I mean, knock down, drag out, like argument with me. And I'm like, dude, you're wrong. Here are the facts. Go look them up. And that's when I realized, like when you're talking about anybody can be brainwashed, that's when I realized they were being brainwashed. Because no matter what I said, all they kept on thinking about was like their proximity to whiteness. They weren't even white. They were Latin and white, but it's like their dad was white, mom's was Latin, and they look mostly Latin. And I'm sitting here like, you guys are Latin. I mean, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? Why are you acting like, like white supremacists? I mean, this wasn't y'all until Donald Trump came. And I said, you know what? And this is what ended it. I say, you know what? These are your strong-held beliefs. And all he did was tap into them. And you have always thought this way when you was hanging around me. You just thought it wasn't politically correct. And once Donald Trump opened up that door and said, you can treat black people and other people like you're treating them, you guys just unlocked and was like, yes, I'm free. I can do and say these racist and sexist things all day, every day. These were your first personal beliefs, and you were filtered. And I said, I could imagine what you guys were saying behind my back before this. I could only imagine, because now the way you guys are treating me and other black people and Latin people who are dark skinned, the way you're treating them in these comments, you're hateful people. But this entire time, you guys have been really like super nice and wonderful and friendships and caring and wanting to meet and hang out and party and all this stuff like that. I'm like, how could you want to hang out with somebody or a race you actually hate, but you didn't know you hated it until a hateful man unlocked you? That's weird. That's really weird. I don't know. DC leaders have very limited powers to run the city. That is why we need DC to become a state. Oh, that's because the DC is doing it. Uh, Stuff is crazy. I have neighbors that are MAGA. I saw them every day until after inauguration. It's salty. Yeah, they are. And I was like, they didn't use, this is like weird. It just didn't used to be. And I'm like, I'm not a person who switches just because, of politics or whatever. I'm the same person all the time. I just can't be a person who just loves like a politician when a politician to me is a person that is willing, and this is what I don't like about politics, is like they're a person that's willing to look in your face and lie to you, then turn around and look at that person and lie to them and tell nobody the truth. Now, I understand that you have to have that mentality when you have secrets and you're on certain committees that hold American secrets close to the vest. I get it. I get it. You got to lie to me about that stuff. But just about the simplest things, they lie to you about. And they get a joy, it seems, out of lying to the American people for their own benefit. I can understand lying for America's benefit. But for your own personal benefit, yeah, that to me is that's a little bit too far. And then remember, Republicans used to always say, Democrats do it, I'm sure. But if you watch back in the day, like I can say too far back, late 90s, up in the early 2000s, you hear Republicans go on air and they'll say, and they'll still say it today, Republicans believe this way in front of the camera, but behind the scenes they say something else. They can't say it on television, but they say it behind, once the cameras are turned off. And I'm like, who needs somebody that's gonna lie to you in your face? And remember on Fox when all these things were happening, they were like, you know what? Why do we have to tell the truth? I mean, it's not, you get no penalty. It's not like you can go to jail for lying to the people. But if you're under oath, you can. So a lot of these Republicans would get caught back in the day, and then also when Trump, like 2016, 2000, whatever it was, they get caught lying for Trump, and there's like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I got to do this. It's like, you can quit. Have integrity. What kills me about these politicians and what it appears like these jobs they have that they've been elected to do, like that's the only thing. These people have had careers prior to that. They've been doctors. They got money. It's the power that they're tripping off of. They lose the power if they leave office. But they've already had money before they got into office. They were lawyers, doctors. They were business owners. Most of them are wealthy. So standing up on principle and standing up for the people should be their priority, since how it's a public service. They're still looking out for their personal bottom lines. And I'm like, dude, you're already rich. Why don't you look out for the bottom line of the people you represent? You're not going to lose any money. But they don't. And I can't tell you, other than greed, I can't tell you why they would do something like that. If you guys want to support the show, please do. I'm going to take it down real quick if you haven't seen it. But one of the last things I'm going to talk about is, and thanks for anybody who gave a donation or anything of that nature. I appreciate you in advance. Today I released a petition for to sue the U.S. government, Moms of Liberty, and schools and organizations that are on purpose not teaching Black history under the guise of CRT or DEI in schools. I don't know if you've seen it. There was a thing called End DEI that the Department of Education is a portal in which moms and dads and people within the school system can rat out other teachers or institutions like schools if they say anything that is progressive. And what they mean is if a teacher's in a classroom speaking, let's say Spanish to one of the Spanish kids, well, that's not fair. That's the DEI thing. So they can write that up and the government oversees it, and they can determine whether to give that school funding or not. In our situation, it's like, teaching our kids the true history of with Black people included, other than being slaves and other things of that nature. Those things are being excluded from our schools. Our books, our authors are being exported away from our schools. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know if you remember the Fearless Fund and a guy named Edward Bloom. Edward Bloom is a lawyer, racist guy, who's been against affirmative action forever. And he tried to sue once before with a white young lady, and it didn't work because he tried to make it seem like, these things that were created in her situation. I can't remember what area it was in, whether it was in school or not, but it was still about affirmative action. But he tried to get the young white lady, and she sued, and they lost because it's like they couldn't justify that, a white girl getting more than a Black person, or trying to say that she didn't get something because she was white. It didn't make any sense. That case was lost. But this man never gave up. He tried again. He got the Asian student to say, hey, I'm smarter than Black people. You got to think. In that case, they won. And affirmative action for colleges, attendance, but being accepted, they won that. Now, there was some adverse effects to that. The following years, the Black enrollment into these Ivy League colleges stayed the same, and the Asian population for being accepted declined. That was like, poetic justice, because again, the major problem in these schools is not about Black, white, Latin, or Asian. It's about legacy kids. These legacy kids are getting positions into colleges that are taken up for kids who are smart and can get in. And instead of listening to the rest of the world and to Black people, this Asian kid and a group of his Asian friends, not all of them, because there was other Asian people who were against it, but they got along with this racist Edward Bloom, didn't look up that this man had been trying to do this forever, and they won a case. Now, after Edward Bloom won that, what'd you think he did? He went after Black women. Yeah, Black women in their VC fund. They had the Fearless Fund, which was gave like $20,000, I believe, $30,000 to Black women. But here's the thing: the actual program or the plan they had didn't say specifically Black women. It literally said, women of color. And so their program was really BIPOC, but most of the people were Black women. Now, mind you, these women were about to receive their $20,000 or whatever, I think it was, for their business. Right before they were going to deliver these women their money, because they had already won it, Edward Bloom swoops in and says, you can't do it. They had to put a hold on it, couldn't give the women their money. And then after that, took them to court, and they ended up winning. And the reason why they won is because they used the civil rights law that we Black people fought for all people to have, and said that it was biased against white people that this thing was set up for black women and nobody else. White people got to be included. So therefore it was discriminatory. So, oh, okay. So they had to close that fund down permanently and therefore kept it moving. Now, here's the oxymoron to that. There are literally Latin firms that only give 100% of their money to Latin people. Nobody white, nobody Asian, nobody else can have it. There are Japanese, there are Chinese, there are Korean, there are Latin, and there are some white firms, there are some Jewish firms that will not give money to anyone outside of those particular areas. But it wasn't until it reached black women that was the last straw, the most hated on the planet. They had to go after them to make an example. So they went after these women. And when they got these women to stop that fund, these other women did not receive their money. They had to wait forever. So some of them may have closed. Some of them may have got money other ways. But again, it was all about trying to destroy black brilliance. And at the same time, people don't realize that in schools, with them trying to get rid of, not trying, but getting rid of books that have anything to do with LGBTQIA, dealing with, it all started with black people. They just went after everybody else too. With black people, not about true history. They try to make it seem like, they try to equate CRT and black history together and DEI and black history together. And you're sitting there like, they aren't teaching DEI in school nor CRT. They're teaching true American history. And they're not saying that black people were just enslaved. They're just telling the truth about what it was. They're not saying states' rights is this BS that you made up, the United Daughters of the Confederacy made up, just so that they can whitewash what they did to black and African and indigenous people. They didn't want their kids to know that. Just like right now, white women and men that are part of the Moms of Liberty, and they've got some people of color to join them too, just so they make it seem like it's not about hindering black people from learning history. But you'll even have those black people in that group saying, why do our kids need to know about slavery? Let's just forget it all. It's like, where did you find this black person that wants to not know his people, what they went through? You know why? They only know the trauma of black people. They don't know the brilliance of rising out of that trauma. I guarantee you those people don't know Lewis Latimer. There's no way that the light bulb would have ever worked without him. So his name should be mentioned alongside anybody that he worked with. He should not be the person that we got to go find. He should not be the person that's not mentioned. He should be mentioned right alongside the person who created the light bulb, right alongside him. Why? Because the light bulb doesn't work without the filament. And the person who created the filament was the black man, Lewis Latimer. So why is his name not mentioned? But you're going to talk about the person, the white guy who did it, again, because of racism, about excluding people. And it's about time we stop doing that. Because as much as people are like, oh, I don't want to hear the pain of what we did to you, you got to understand, what are you doing to that black child that doesn't know his full history or her full history? You're not giving them the same type of motivation that they're brilliant, that you're trying to say your white guy created a light bulb. Well, if that kid knew that the white guy created the light bulb, but it didn't turn on and stay on until the black guy created the filament. If you put those two together, then you're telling true history. But if you just put the white guy's name first, you forget all about and you erase Lewis Latimer. You can't have it without both. But see, that's what they've been doing. Without both. Leaving it just so that you look at white people and see them in a brilliant light, and you see black people as just to help. And that's not the case. But see, too many decades upon decades and centuries have went by with one race educating you about the brilliance that they did, but not educating you on who helped them get there, and also whose gifts they stole and act like they created. Most people don't know the potato chip was created by a black man. But if you thought about it, somebody say, if you ask somebody on the street, who created it? I don't know. Lay's? No, not at all. A black man in the Sequoias. He was indigenous and black. Don't know those stories. Why don't they know them? These are the things where I'm saying, you know what? It's enough already. This guy who went after, and this is the thing that kills me. Not all white people, but these racist people will seek any way and every way they can to be able to destroy black joy, destroy black brilliance, just so they can lift themselves up. What's wrong with telling the true story of what happened? Because you're erasing other people's brilliance just so that you can make it seem like you're on that island of brilliance by yourself, and it's not true. And so what we do is we end up having these historical wars where we have a certain set of people who've been brainwashed and whitewashed for fucking ever. And then those of us who know exactly what happened, oh, we're woke. And you may woke be negative because we're telling the truth. And the regular people are, there's no wrong with them. They're just, this is what we learned. This is the truth. No, it's not. That's what the daughters of the Confederacy wanted you to think. That's why you still got black people to this day and people in the South talking about states' rights as if it meant like, here's our states' rights to do whatever we want. We don't need the federal government telling us what to do. That's not what states' rights is. States' rights is the right to own slaves. That's what they wanted to do, but they won't tell you that. You got to find that yourself. The states' rights. That's why, like I said, you got grown ass men and women, black and all races, literally out in these streets in the South, wearing these flags that were meant to exclude them. And they'll yell states' rights. I'm like, I'll just look at them like, wow, you are a factor of why we need a lawsuit. You're so confused that you think that flag included you. If that flag got what it wanted, you and your family would still be on the field picking cotton. And you've been trained your entire life to believe the opposite, that it really meant, I love my southern state. There's no northern state gonna tell me what to do. If these northern states didn't tell you what to do, your entire family would still be getting raped on a regular basis. You're clinging on to something that wants to destroy you instead of lift you. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So on my account, you can see a YouTube account. You'll see a link that says beacons.ai. I think it's like straight_facts_, _facts_no_chaser_FYF. You'll see it. Click on that. You'll get the petition that literally says, I'll read it so you'll know. Anybody can sign a petition, but as far as like in the petition, it says sue the U.S. government for whitewashing Black history. And underneath that, a little bit further down into the actual petition, you can sign a petition, but at the same time, sign up to join the potential class action suit. And as of right now, as far as I know, to be able to do that, sign up for the petition. Anybody sign up for the lawsuit would have to be someone Black who didn't have things for the, they weren't given the information to make them, possibly great from a child on. To give you an example, the reason why it says it has to be Black is because here's the thing. In order to be a plaintiff, it has to be something that caused you pain, that caused your culture pain. And see, whether people want to believe it or not, and even I'll give examples of how even white people, not in this situation, but who have come out and said, oh, I don't see myself represented as this particular character or whatever in the media. So it's a slight against us, like they did. What was it? Under the Sea, when the young Black girl was a mermaid, the Little Mermaid. They didn't see their likeness and they flipped out. It destroyed something within them. They couldn't handle the fact to see a Black girl play a part that's a fictional freaking character, right? They were mad at seeing the stormtrooper being Black. They're like, oh, that can't be. It's got to be cloned. It couldn't be. They flipped out. Their entire lives, their people have played. Hell, Elizabeth Taylor played like Nefertiti Black. They don't have a problem with that. See, again, not seeing representation of yourself in media and other places in history, it takes something away from you. It shows brilliance in somebody else's likeness when that person who was brilliant looked more like you than the person playing them. So they take that person's power away and give it to a white person. And therefore you think Nefertiti, oh, white lady, Elizabeth Taylor, like, put her in this power position. And for generations, white people felt like they was powerful, and that particular character and that historical moments, they look like them. Another example, when you go to church and you see that person sitting there and you look at that person and you say, you know what, I'm a descendant of him. Yeah, I'm a descendant of Jesus. I'm his son or daughter. Like, yeah, in that Bible it says, do not worship false idols. Go to your church and you see a white man. That's a false idol. Because in the Bible it says Jesus was of bronze and had wool hair. So if you're looking at a white man in church, you're not looking at Jesus. You're looking at somebody who's faking it to be Jesus. That makes white people feel powerful to think that the Jesus looks like them. There's a reason why you put a face that doesn't belong on it to make yourself look as powerful as you want. You're getting something from it. It's making you feel important. It's giving you jobs. It's giving you opportunity. It's giving you a certain type of feeling that you are just like the omnipotent one. But if you take that away from them and tell them that guy is brown, read your Bibles, it freaks some of them out. It's not to make you mad or angry. It's not to be just woke or nothing. It's to be factual. It's in the Bible. I didn't make this up. I didn't write the Bible. I just read it. So when you think about that, you understand there's some value in that. There's some value, and it gives value to your culture. Give you a sense of belonging, a sense of power. And when you take it from the culture that it actually is, you take the power away from them. They did that on purpose. And in our schools, they always worried about their white kids being taught true history, and they don't want their kids to feel bad, but they don't give a damn about not teaching your black kids the truth so their kids can feel good. It ain't just about slavery. It's about the people I just mentioned too. The Lewis Latimers, right? The Charles S. Pattersons, the guy who owned the actual, one of the first, not vehicles at the time, but it was horse and carriage, a buggy. But his son, Frederick Douglass Patterson, was the first black person to own a vehicle, the Patterson automobile. He was the first black person in the United States history that owned a car factory. Matter of fact, it went up against Ford and kicked Ford's butt. 1915, his vehicle was better than Ford's Ford Model T. Didn't know that, most people. Why? They hide your brilliance. How many black kids would be building cars today if they knew they had it in their lineage, that it was a brilliant thing to be done already? We just didn't have people fund it. And they built it better than Ford. If they don't know that, you're robbing them. You're robbing them of their brilliance. And so, my thing is to sue. It's not always about making money, even though that may be a situation the lawyer may want to go with because they need to make money back. But my thing is this. Just like Edward Bloom, he didn't do it for money. He did it on the principle that he believed, still with his racist ideologies, that he wanted to tear down something. Well, if I want to tear down something, it's not about just the money. It's about making it a legal precedence to tell the absolute truth about history. Not my opinion, not your opinion. Facts. See, they always win because it's either our word against their word. But when you put our history in the law books and not just the history books, and you create a lawsuit about it, the minimal thing it will do is have the whole world and the country face the actual facts in a court of law. That's a huge win, even if there's no money involved. Because then it'll be settled law. It won't be your opinion versus my opinion. These are the things I believe we have to do in order to make it so our people get to learn about their people in regular school. If I'm going to be paying for my kid to go to school like you, I'd be damned if my kid's going to be spending his entire time of kindergarten through 12th grade learning how great white people were, while thinking all they were slaves and fighting for freedom with Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers. No, they're going to learn that they were inventors, writers, all kinds of things, so that they too can aspire to be something other than an employee. That's the reason I started this, and that's where I'm going to finish this. So you can go sign up if you would like, and you can also donate if you want, but we're going to find out exactly. I'm trying to get 50,000 people signed up on the petition, take it to some, lawyers, black lawyers. I want black lawyers because I want to have that perception for the media to see black people fighting for black people's rights. I don't want to have that white savior complex where it's just white people fighting for black people. I don't want that. I want this to look exactly as it is. We're fighting for our lives to be explained in a positive way. Our lives not to be talking about crime and all that shit, to be talking about not only just ending slavery, talking about the brilliant things that people did. And there were lots of them. I've covered them over the years. And I've shed many tears because I did not know these things. And there was a reason for that. Now, like I said, when you feel these things out, if you can possibly be a plaintiff, it's going to be a question on there for you to say, like, what have you lost? And I'll tell you an example. As a kid, growing up, my mom grew up a sharecropper, right, with her grandfather. And there was very little. She didn't graduate high school or nothing like that. But she worked her butt off for her 3 kids. When I grew up, straight A student, got bused on all white school when I was in like 5th or 6th grade. I never learned in the schools my history worth a damn. I didn't know hardly anything. In our social studies or history books, they literally have photographs of Christopher Columbus, discovering America, the name of the ships and things of that nature. And then with black people, all they talked about, we were slaves. Didn't talk about how the slavery even happened, to be honest. We were slaves then we would skip over like a whole part. The book would have like a whole area of just Africa or whatever it was in the history. And it would just skip over all that shit. And at the end, be like a good couple paragraphs. And slavery happened and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and it would piss me off because only thing I learned in school was that we were slaves at some point, and we fought not to be slaves, and that white people just woke the fuck up and just ended it. Anything else I learned on my own, my school, all the way up, even into college. I ended up taking black studies, and even that was kind of jaded. It gave people credit, white people credit that they didn't deserve. And so I looked at that and I said, you know what? The idea of knowing what you're worth as a child takes you a lot further in life as an adult. And us being robbed of that, so many of our brothers and sisters never reached their full potential because they never thought it was possible. Because from what they learned, there was no faith and no belief that they was capable of doing something like that. And that was on purpose. So there's a lot of our brothers and sisters that never made it out of the hood or the community that they were in because they never believed it was possible because they were never taught. And then those of us who are strong enough mentally to be able to overcome that and surpass that, get bused to schools, get an education, we think that some of us think that they just didn't work hard enough. No, they were never instilled in this. I wasn't instilled in this, but I searched. I looked for great people that was living today. In my head, I was inquisitive. I was like, that could not be just us. So I found brilliant people of the day and time that I was alive. I didn't draw on the people from the past because I didn't know anything from that. But I had a certain like ilk when I heard about history. I don't want to hear about this shit. Nope, don't want to know it. But had we been taught these things, had we been taught that in Africa some of our people were kings and queens, and had we known that these people came over this country and actually did great stuff, then we could really have thrived as a people, have gotten investments as a people. Because you got to even look at it this situation too. African people who come to this country have it better than the black people who live here. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. Because they don't think of them as the same type of people that we are, even though we're direct descendants in the same situation. We've just been here longer. But they'll get loans, they'll get investments, they'll get doctorates easier than we can in many cases. Just because of the fact that they want to keep us separated and not together. They've told them lies about us like they've told us lies about them. And their biggest fear is for us to unite. And so that's what I do also, is just to unite people, and specifically people who have been treated unfairly. And I'm black, so that's the reason why I know how we've been treated. I can't tell you how other cultures been treated, but I tell you this: if you've been treated bad, you need to form some kind of unity to be, made your wrongs right. Because in the future, our kids, what they're trying to do in the schools now, what I learned in school, they're trying to even take that out and put whatever the hell they want in it. And when they said to me that in this, I saw a clip, they said something to the fact that black people, like that we could have, like, as far as like we could be whatever we can be, whatever we want to be. And I'm like, we can. But when you were a kid, you had no idea these things were capable. We were looking up to basketball players and other things of that nature. And not unless our parents went above and beyond to find it in the library somewhere and brought it home to educate you, you didn't know. Not unless our parents were like people who were activists, right? Those people knew a lot because their family were activists and went and saw it. But for the majority of us, we worked, came home, fed our families, and passed out and did it again. And that's what it was meant to do. It was meant for us to be in a situation where we didn't know. And when we don't have that feeling of even as a child, that there's things that you're capable of that they didn't show you, then you kind of like feel like you were left out as you get older. And I'm not trying to get anything other than the fact is I don't want my kids growing up knowing less than I know. I don't want my schools telling my kids, lies so that their counterparts, their white counterparts, can feel good about themselves. Think about it. If this shit did not matter, why are they trying to take it out of their schools so their kids don't have to deal with it? It matters because they know it's going to benefit their children to a black child's detriment. And it's a situation where, no, you should teach about both and all people's brilliance as opposed to trying to hide some and bolster others. So that's what I'm doing. Good night, Johnny. I see you guys in there talking to yourselves and nobody's responding to me. Oh, it's breaking up. The scripture came from, and he was in a group on Facebook and he kept using that stupid scripture. What was that? And it had an Egyptian son, Moses, had a black wife. It saw snow in the Middle East. Guy insisting Jesus was white. Used the scripture saying the Nazarenes were white as snow. Yeah, there's a lot of, things within the Bible. You guys went off on the whole Bible thing. I get it. On the whole thing, but that's it. God ended slavery, Johnny S. I ain't gonna say that ain't necessarily true, but my school did cover slavery decently, and as good as it was still lacking so much. The lynchings in the 20s were never covered. We needed to learn that. Also, all the successful black people. I don't want to say how old you are in the planet, Janet, but I want to know because I grew up in my school, but I went to a bus to an all-white school, and they did not cover it at all. Hardly. We skipped over a bunch of stuff, and throughout the when I was in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, nope, none of that. I didn't find out a lot of things until I got to college when I had black studies, and even then I got some of it. But when I'm 54 now. It wasn't until I was 49 that I started learning all these like insanely brilliant things that black people have done, and I'm like, holy crap! I didn't know we did that. And I'm an inventor. I create stuff. I didn't know half of these inventors that created things, and it just really blew my mind. And just it really kind of pissed me off that the schools hid that stuff from us. And then I realized it was on purpose when they did it back in 1877 or 1868 rather, with the daughters, the Confederate, United Daughters of the Confederacy. It was on purpose. They didn't want us knowing our history. And then they're doing it now with the Moms of Liberty. They don't want us to know. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not going to sit back and allow this stuff happen again. Have our kids, like our kids and grandkids, not knowing anything. He was born in 71. I went to a mostly white school. Well, that's cool. They didn't teach it to us, and I'm glad you learned it. But they didn't teach it to us, and that to me was disappointing. I was washing out my hair, but I agree. Oh, no worries. I was just saying everybody got involved on the Christian part about what Jesus looked like. That's too. That's cool. You said Putin really tripped the world when he said that Putin said Jesus was black. I didn't hear that one. I gotta look that one up. Johnny S. I came across a guy who said that Jesus was white. He said Nazareth were pure snow, meaning white. I said they were talking about their innocence, not skin color. You could not tell him that. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, if you look at it, it'll tell you exactly what kind of, and again, that type of thing was something I had to find out. Um, I remember I was going to Methodist church at the time. I was probably in my early 30s. Yeah, mid 30s, 35, 36, something like that. And one of the best pastors I had, Pastor John, and me and him got along really well. We go out and have coffee and things of that nature. And I was asking him questions, things like that, and I mentioned that, and he told me to read this verse, and before we had coffee again, and he had told me about that, and I read it, and I'm like, I always counsel. I'll say, so what does that mean? Does that mean a God was brown? I mean, because back in those days, I was sitting there trying to find. He said, as far as we know, he was. I said, so why did they have a white Jesus? Like, what is that all about? It just like, a lot of people wanted to have him in their image, and it empowered them that it looked like them, and everybody worshiped the people that it looked like. And I was like, so in essence, if Jesus had stayed brown, then people who are of color would have been the ones who have been doing things and people wanted to be like. He said, I can't say that would be true, but I can say that would have been the plan. He said that would have been how they would have done things. Say, oh, okay. So because, and again, I'm just guessing, because that culture doesn't believe like that, it took another culture that believed in this colonization to colonize him so that they could take the power that nobody was really caring about but them. And he's a white guy. He's like, that's what I got out of it. So I'm like, okay. So then I started doing research on it and finding out more about it. And I found out even much later, through other aspects of it, that it was different verses years down the road, but not about race. It's just different books that they'll say like feet of bronze, and they'll say something. It'll read it differently, but it's something to learn. You know what I'm saying? And again, what I'm talking about doing is just learning true history, what people have done, and allowing black people to see themselves in a better light than what this country is trying its best to take them to. If you don't see yourself in those positions or even having that opportunity, then you give up on it. And you start working on things that you think that is within your reach, and not things that have been forced to tell you that you couldn't get it. Like many black people thought growing up, and even people like my mom and grandmother thought they would never live to see the day that a black person became president. Now, had kids been taught the true history of this country, they would have never thought that was a situation. That's a reality. It could happen. But it was meant to be so that we couldn't think like that. See what else? By my 13th year, didn't know who Martin Luther King was. Skin of bronze, hair of wool, Earl Ingram. Exactly. Kid didn't know who MLK was. Said Michelangelo and Da Vinci drew Jesus in their image. Old school funk. That's what I heard too. I don't know for sure. I mean, I read it, but I haven't been able to validate it anywhere else, just where I read it. So, but maybe me and you read the same thing. I'm not sure. This was next needed. Thank you, what about you? You out of here? She was born 2011. Root. I had to tell her. Yeah, it's like, again, our kids don't know the simple things. And what I've been noticing is that they're trying to get, like, again, when I heard the, what is it, the right wing organization, not the Heritage Foundation, the one that Candace Owens was all mixed up in, trying to tell history again. There's a white guy with a Jewish name, whatever. I forgot his name at the top of my head. But he had this cartoon type school thing that they're creating to teach our young kids. And Moms of Liberty are part of it too, to get into our schools and teach our kindergartners all the way up to 5th, 6th, 7th grade. They're teaching them things like black people, African people, that slavery wasn't that bad. They got food, they got clothing, and they got taught a trade. That's what they're trying to teach our babies all the way up to like 5th. So if they're going to try and teach that from kindergarten to like 5th to 6th grade, what do you think they're going to do from 6th grade on? They're not going to introduce them that, oh, your kindergarten years to 5th grade years, it was all lies. No, that new generation, they're going to continue that path from 6th all the way up to college with that same BS history. And many of us black people have no clue that they're doing this to our kids. We're just going to wake up one day and our kids aren't going to know anything about our history. And when they do find it, they're going to nullify, oh, Dad, Mom, you guys are taking it too far. Slavery wasn't that bad. Say what? Where'd you learn that at? School. Where else? You don't want to wait till that happens. It needs to be dealt with like now. So those are the things I'm focusing on. Daughter about Black history from the 4th grade on. She's 34 now. That's awesome. Old school funk. A lot of people did not. And, I don't blame them. You know what I'm saying? It's just that each person was taught differently. Each person came at it with a different level of education or wisdom or belief or a religion. It's a lot that has held our cultures back. And I applaud those people who fought like you did, Old School Funk. I applaud those people who fought. Thank you, Dave Brickett. I appreciate you for the gift that you fought and you rectified what society was trying to destroy. And therefore your kid is ahead of it and probably had a lot of self-esteem than some other kids who didn't, because they didn't see it, they didn't know about it, and they weren't wise enough to know, wow, we were writers and artists and this and that, as opposed that we were enslaved and then we were free and then we were, we fought for civil rights. Then we, had a chance to vote. And here we are now. We can have anything we want. It's like you missed out on a lot of shit in there. And all those things add to your strength and your ability. Because I truly believe not too many cultures could overcome what we overcame. I don't believe they can. Because our people came through the midst of hell and still we rose. And if you don't know that story, you don't know how powerful we are. You don't know how strong we are. You don't know what we're capable of if you don't know how far below we came to where we are today. That story of overcoming is powerful. And if we don't have it and if we don't know it, it does nothing for us. It doesn't give us the power that we deserve. It just nullifies our rise. And I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear it. Are you someone special, bro? I mean, people, and I'm not saying that, that it's better or worse than anybody else. I'm just saying is that people fought back. And what you did was fight back. You didn't let the school teach your kid fully about his or her own history. You gave it to him. You informed them. And that's empowering a child and a human being. And that's worth a lot because it helps you see you in a different light. Because you know how long, and you're about probably my age, a little bit older. I don't know for sure. Maybe younger. I can't tell by the graphic. But what we had to fight for to get where we are today, our parents had to go through. If you hadn't done all that, there's no way we would have got it. We would have got here. And for your kid, I'm sure life was made easier and opportunities were opened up because of it. Some of us were strong enough to seek it ourselves, and others were just, depending on where we were raised, we were just trying to get to the nearest factory to get a nice life for us and our families. We still rising, overcoming. And that's what I'm doing as far as I continue to educate and do all these different things so that we can have solutions for us. And not just, for black people, but I got to focus on black people because that's all I know. You know what I mean? That's all I know. I know how I was treated. And so if people are going to be plaintiffs on this, you're going to have to say, like, what did you lost? For me, I kind of just said, I lost that as a child, that ability to know all the things that people like me was capable of. You know what I mean? Coming from a sharecropper family where nobody graduated from even high school, we were just working worker bees. But I had a passion in my heart, and I had to find other resources outside of my school. Something in school told me something's not right. We weren't just slaves and then just overcame. We had to have something else. But I didn't find it in the books because they didn't show it to me. I found it in the people. I sought people. When I talked to the people, I heard their stories. I listened to my elders, and they told me their stories of their lives and their families and their ancestors, and I drew strength from that. Not many of our kids will do that. And so they didn't get that. And if I believe that I missed out on that and I didn't have that, I would be in the same situations as some of my friends who don't have that vision. You can't even put that in their heads right now. That's true in history, but what would that have done? I said, well, it probably would have changed your life and gave you a whole different perspective to look beyond your environment. Because if you think, many of the people I grew up with say, things are holding me back. I'm like, did things hold you back like Harriet Tubman? No. If it wasn't for her, you wouldn't be right here. And if you had seen that, if you had seen other people who were like that, not just her, but many others who fought. Frederick Douglass Patterson, if you had seen that he built the first car manufacturer and it was better than the Ford Model T, you wouldn't have believed people telling you, oh, you can't make it, bro. But wait a minute, my man made it in the 1800s. I can do it. You didn't see those champions. You saw fighters and you saw enslavement, and we've been fighting ever since. For the majority of us. But anyway, and there is so much overcome. The book, The Promised Land, illustrated how slavery and racism continues and follow blacks from the South to the North. Most definitely. So you're 63? Yeah, I'm 54. So you've been here a little bit. You're the same. I think you're close to this. I'm 54, 7, 11. My brother, he's 61. So you was born, my brother was born in 63. So you was probably born in what, 1960? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am thankful for what gifts God gave me. And so, because of that inquisitiveness and my ability to create and my ability to seek the truth, and then my ability to, like, quote unquote, evangelize the truth. You know what I mean? To tell people like you're brilliant, and to instill it in you and let you see it. Those things are my gifts, and I'm gonna keep on doing those, because if I do it, maybe I'll reach, a kid or even a grandma or grandpa or somebody, and be a part of transforming lives, and seeing people's individual brilliance. It's never too late. So yeah, I love that. 61. I got close. Rude and playing. I'm 29. Then you laugh after that. Okay, I'll take that 29. Uh, but it's been 20 years. No worries. I'll look something up. I see it in the comments. I'll look at these comments. I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight and hanging out with me. I'm about to check out right now. Got to get some content, get something to eat, get back to it. I appreciate y'all. I'm always going to come on here. I'm still working on the farmers. Got hopefully I'm going to talk to one of them coming up here pretty soon. Trying to set something up, find a date, and to be able to help see that process is what's going on with that. I'm gonna continue with the petition. We got to get to 50,000 people before I get the leverage to get these lawyers to kind of like start this whole process, and the donations to be able to get them. Whatever we can do to get these lawyers to kind of like get off their butts and actually fight. But at least go check it out. Let people know it. Share it. Again, it's in my on my YouTube. Just go to the links at the top of my account, and it'll be the Beacons one. BEACONS.ai. Click on that one. Sign a petition. Go down and get on. If you're a person of color, if you're a black person, that this history would have helped in many ways. Get down there, put it in there, in the join the petition for that. And then I'll send it out to lawyers, and we're gonna start moving forward with it. I believe our kids need to know their history. I don't want my grandkids and my friends' kids and people in the future, even your kids, they're not even my children, but they're part of my village. I don't want them to grow up not knowing how brilliant they are and were. We build upon our past, and if we think our past is nothing, we're starting from scratch. But if we know how brilliant we were in the past, we know that there's light years that we can succeed beyond that. But we have to know our foundation first. It can't be lied to us. It's got to be the truth. And that's what I do. I fight for the truth. The facts, good or bad, I want to know them so I can grow from them. Okay? All right. I got to get up out of here. Thank you guys. Much love to y'all. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the donations. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You guys have a good night. Y'all be safe.